Hello and welcome back to Behind the Business. It is so good to be back here. I haven't had to record a podcast episode in quite a while because I batch recorded a lot of episodes. It's something that I love to do, especially if I'm about to enter a busier season where a lot of travel is involved, which there has been, but I'm back and I couldn't be more excited. Today, I am talking about a 2-day business retreat that I ran a few weeks ago at my home, and I wanted to share my takeaways from that retreat, how you can run your own, the pros, the cons, the lessons, the learnings, and everything, because this was content that I was looking for personally when I was considering running a retreat, and I just couldn't really find that much of it, and I have so much to share, and honestly, it went so well, so I'm really excited to be sharing that with you today. Now, before we get started, I want to give a little bit of a life update, which I have not planned at all with what I'm going to say, but I guess I'll just share with you how I'm feeling. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. My health is great, relationships are great, business is going well, but I will admit that I'm in a bit of a growth season where we're really trying to scale the business, and sometimes that looks like outgrowing certain processes, team, things like that. And it also comes with a lot of challenges and learnings. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't in this uncomfortable growth season. It's obviously a positive thing to be in this season, but it's very uncomfortable to sit in it. I've had to hire a brand new team member, which is so exciting. Not a replacement of someone, but actually just hiring a new person on our team, a client success coach, which I am so excited about. And she starts today, which is very, very exciting and also scary because I like to prevent burnout and certain challenges in my business. And sometimes that looks like hiring before you're ready or making certain decisions, even though you feel like you could just do it yourself or get away without it. But I don't like to roll that way because I think prevention is better than cure. And I'd rather just be 2 steps ahead of myself, essentially. And so it was really scary hiring this role, but equally, I did feel ready for it and know that it was necessary. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm really excited and I've put a lot of effort in the behind the scenes to make sure that she feels really like set up and clear and confident about exactly what her role entails. So yesterday I was filming lots of Loom videos to go with all of the SOPs, and it's just going to make her experience way better. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, it's been definitely uncomfortable. I feel like I'm learning lots of lessons at the moment in business. And I feel like I said, as you grow and you have more leads, more potential clients, it just means more sales calls, but it also means more of a variety of, what you're dealing with. And that can be just really uncomfortable. So I've definitely been going through the growing pains, which feels a little bit like an emotional roller coaster. But in the same breath, I'm kind of grateful for it because I'm not going to lie, 90% of the time, I'm feeling really good in my business. I feel like I've had such a good run, but I've also worked for it and invested for it. That is for sure. Like, I have never been without a coach in my entire nearly 6 years in business, which is actually coming up in a few days. I just realized as I was speaking. And I've also worked really hard. I work incredibly hard. I work all of the time and I love it. But that is also why I'm in this position. But yeah, so it's kind of nice to feel like a different emotion other than everything just being fine and great all of the time. I think, in order to grow, you do need to get uncomfortable, and it feels kind of good and uncomfortable to be uncomfortable, as weird as that all sounds. So that's kind of how I'm feeling, like really good in my personal life and then just really uncomfortable in my business life. But I'm proud and I'm excited in the same breath. Something else that we have just recently done is I moved my clients from a private Facebook group and a course platform all over to School. This has been a big back-end change for me and my team to do, but we did it really, really quickly. I'm talking within 3 days, like 72 hours, we had done the whole thing, but it was still a lot of work for those 3 days. But essentially, I decided to quit the whole Facebook group thing and having so many different softwares to get my program to work, and instead the whole thing is in School. So yeah, that is super exciting. Now we are offering 5 calls per week. So we've gone from 2 calls a week to 5 calls a week. We've gone from it being a Facebook group, Thrivecart Learn platform, and Adillo for video hosting and Zoom for the calls, those 4 things, and then add event for clients to be able to have the calls automatically in their calendar. So 5 pieces of software, and that's not even to mention the email marketing side of things, which would be 6. We've gone from that to one, just school. And I'm so excited. So as you can hear, there's a lot going on in the back end. Hiring, redoing things, improving things, breaking things to improve things. And yeah, it's been a lot of work, but definitely worth it. All of my clients are loving it so much more. Not that anyone complained, by the way. It's, again, just one of those things where I was like, why am I going about this an unnecessarily difficult way? To be fair, this is actually going to cost me more. Like school's $99 a month, whereas the Facebook group was free. Thrive Cart Learn was a one-time payment that I made many, many years ago. Adillo, I also got it for a one-time payment. Really the only expense was ad event, which is like $15 a year or something, to now I'm paying $99 a month. So it is costing me more, but it's not about the cost. $99 is nothing to me with what I earn in my business. It's the simplicity and a better client experience. So yeah, feeling really excited about that. And today is the first day that everything officially kicks off with the 5 calls a week. So I'm running 2 of those and my team are running the other 3. And yeah, it feels so good to be able to give my clients so much more support. And now everyone's going to have one-on-one support with my client success coach as well, just to make sure everyone's on track, moving in the right direction, and has guidance on what their next steps need to be and where they need to go. Which is going to help clients get faster and better results, and it's going to help with retention and client satisfaction, which all mean the most to me ever, which, hence the role. Like I could actually handle supporting all my clients myself, but could I help them all one-on-one? Could I provide 5 calls a week? Could I give them all the accountability and personalization they need, like at that level? If, again, I was to think ahead of like, I want to double the business, could I do that? No, I couldn't, right? And so that's why you need to hire. And so for me, I want to make sure my clients always feel deeply loved and supported by me and my team. And I want to be making sure that I have things set up so no one ever feels like a number and everyone always has that support and accountability that they need. So yeah, really excited. That's my little life and business update. But today I wanted to walk you through the business retreat that I ran in case you are wanting to do the same. So let's dive on in. So I ran a business retreat called the Spacious Scaling Business Retreat. It was a 2-day event at my house here in Noosa on the Sunshine Coast. I held it for 15 coaches. And I wanted to keep it nice and intimate because, like I said, it was at my house. And I have run retreats before. I've run a mindset and wellness retreat many, many years ago. I think that would have been 2021 with 2 other people. But I was so new to business, and we had a lot of support and help. And yeah, it wasn't just me running it, and I wasn't a business coach at the time. And it was at a venue. And then I've also run a full day workshop with someone else again, who was actually a previous client of mine. And then her business grew so much that we ended up being, really good friends. So I've done that, but I had never run like a 2-day business retreat at my house or anything like that. So whilst I had done a few different retreats, or like not retreats, but in-person stuff, it still felt new to me because it wasn't something I'd done very often. So I thought I'd keep it nice and intimate. So 15 coaches, and it was for 4 hours each day with a few optional activities either side of, that day event as well, which was really exciting. So basically how it worked was everyone just needed to provide, get their own accommodation. So people weren't staying at my house. And basically we did a beach walk at 6:30 a.m. in the morning for about an hour and a half, where I bought everyone a coffee. We went for a walk. It was so beautiful just to start the day in a really grounded way. And that was optional for those that wanted to come along, which many did. Then we all met at my house maybe 3 hours later, and they stayed at my house for 4 hours. And then there was a few hours break, and then we all met up again for dinner at a restaurant that I reserved for everyone that wanted to come along. So we did the same thing each day, and the only different thing was the actual activities we did at my place at the retreat. So what I needed to provide was lunch for everyone, and then, snacks and drinks. So that was the overall setup, and I'm really happy with that setup. It was fantastic. Beach walk was perfect. At my place, I got them to arrive half an hour early so we could all start on time. I think that was a really good idea. I highly recommend doing something like that where you factor in arrival time. And then I basically took them through 3 experiences and a lunch. That covered the 4 hours, so giving us roughly an hour for each experience. Upon reflection, and I'll get into this when I summarize the learnings, the lessons, what I would versus wouldn't do again, but I'll just say that I think that crammed things up a little bit. Like an hour just flies by when you're doing an in-person experience where people are talking and getting distracted and all of these sorts of things. We absolutely made it work, but if I had my time again, I'd probably add another hour to allow for things to sort of go over time, if you will. And then the dinner was also really perfect and casual. I went to it was like a beautiful bougie pub, essentially. Beautiful location. Everyone loved it, but it was really casual in the sense that you could just scan a QR code, order your food and drinks, which just made it super, super easy and casual. And then I did the same dinner location both days. And I'll get into why that is, but either way, it sort of ended up working out just for simplicity. Day 2, did the exact same thing. Except for, again, what actually happened at my house. So both days had a lunch. On day 1, I did basically the breakdown of the day was, first, we broke through their biggest bottleneck. So I helped them to get clear on what is their biggest bottleneck that is stopping them from growing to that next level in their business. That was a fantastic experience. Everyone loved that. Then we actually did a luxury content creation experience, which was so much fun. I basically put on really loud music and everyone got into little groups of 2 or 3 and they went into different locations of my house and took photos and reels. I walked them through how to do it, gave them a whole bunch of suggestions. Everyone brought several different outfits that they could get changed into, and we just spent an hour and a half all around my house. It's a very big house and a beautiful house, so there's so many different location points where they could simply take a whole bunch of content that they could use for social media. Then we had lunch for an hour. I love giving you as much free, valuable content as possible to help you scale. That's why I've put all of my latest free and paid resources in one place. Head to www.sophiarosebernardi.com/links or click the link in the show notes to grab my latest free resources and sign up for my upcoming workshops. Now, back to the episode. And then we built their Spacious Scaling blueprint for that final hour, which was really awesome. So that was a packed full day. Day 2 was we mapped out a launch of theirs, which was awesome. My ads manager, Ethan, then prepared an effortless ads funnel and walked everyone through that, which they all freaking loved. Then we all did a Pilates class at my place. So I hired a Pilates instructor to come. She brought all of the gear as well, the mats, and everything, which was really awesome. And my house is big enough that we could fit all of those mats. And then we had lunch. So that was kind of the breakdown of both days. And it was this beautiful mixture of, strategic business stuff paired with like wellness and fun creation stuff. And that's because the retreat was called the Spacious Scaling Retreat. And so I wanted to give everyone a bit of a taste of my lifestyle. Like I go to Pilates 7 days a week. I create content in this space and relax and do all of these things. And then I also do a lot of business strategy and so forth. So that is everything that we did, which I freaking loved. In terms of some like organizational stuff that I did, I put together a Google document that had the itinerary there. I put the Google Map locations and Apple Map locations and the address for every, like my place, the restaurant and the beach cafe meeting point. And it was all timed out. I even filmed a video from my driveway so people knew exactly how, like when they were at my place. And I filmed all the way driving down and where to park, just because it's a really long driveway because I live in a really private area. And so like I was super organized in that sense. I gave them a packing checklist and I even had a list of everything that would be provided. So, there was a lot of, organization and support, which just made it super simple. Like people didn't even have to think, which I think personally is super awesome. So that's how that went. I even took a photo of my like letterbox and, you know, had a photo of the map and everything and a photo of my house. So like there was just absolutely no confusion and no one had an issue. I just wanted to go kind of above and beyond with those sorts of things. So people were feeling really at ease, like in terms of getting here, because I don't know if anyone's like me, but I'm absolutely horrendous when it comes to, getting to places, and like if I don't have Google Maps in front of me at all times, like I'm pretty much useless, to be honest. So I just wanted to provide all of that. So that's that. I'm trying to think what else I want to share about the retreat. I also had a run sheet. Yes. So one of my best friends is an event planner, and she's incredible at what she does. And she created a whole run sheet for me, which was just so helpful. A full checklist of everything that I needed to do before and during and after the event that I could just tick off as I went. And she was just so helpful. She even found caterers for me, and all of these things reminded me to ask everyone about dietaries, like all these things that you just might not think of if you don't have someone there helping you. So I'm so grateful for Beth from Cater Events who helped me to do that, because yeah, I just couldn't have done it without her. And then the other thing is I had two sponsors. So I had Sodi, which is an electrolyte company. They provide like these electrolyte salts for you to take daily. Fantastic company, Australian based. I love and know the owner, and they sponsored the retreat, which was incredible. So everyone got to walk away with a Sodi drink bottle and heaps of supplements, which was just super, super awesome. And then the other sponsor was Licorice by Billo, which is a gourmet and bougie licorice / chocolate company based in Denmark. I'm from Denmark, so it's felt like another piece of me, you know, that's a part of my life. And my sister works for that company and gratefully sent over a whole bunch of licorices for everyone, and everyone ate every single one of them. Not only the ones in their goodie bags, but then also the extra ones lying around the table. So all of the food was eaten, which is just fantastic. There was very little left over. So it was obviously enough for everyone to be full, because there was a little bit left over, but no wastage whatsoever, which is just, yeah, freaking awesome. And we used, you know, paper plates and cutlery and everything. So there was no cleanup every day as well. And yeah, the whole thing was awesome. Provided a goodie bag. I bought a few bunch of things, and then obviously the sponsors as well for everyone. Printed out beautiful workbooks for everyone. So yeah, all of that was like fantastic. And yeah, that's basically that. I did most of the preparation and everything for the retreat, you know, obviously all throughout, but really it was closer to the date that I did majority of the things. So it wasn't too much work and it wasn't too much time, but it's certainly more time, effort, and money than doing online coaching. We are so lucky as coaches and online service providers that we can just make money wherever, whenever, and have such little expenses involved. Is actually wild. But that should never really be the reason why you run an in-person retreat anyways. That being said, we had an 85% profit margin. Like, we definitely profited, which is just incredible, because I even flew my virtual assistant over from the Philippines to Australia, and that was part of the costs, and she didn't need to be there. I just wanted her to be there. And so yeah, we had an extremely profitable retreat, but that was honestly not the intention. That was just a byproduct of it. You know, I love to run business in a really smart way. Like, of course, anything I do, I want to profit from it. Otherwise, it's probably not the smartest decision in most cases. But nonetheless, it was not really the goal or the intention necessarily. So now I want to share with you what I definitely would do again, what I wouldn't do again, and my 3 overall biggest lessons. Keep in mind, I don't really regret anything. Like, it was honestly a fantastic 2 days. I finished up on a high and I was so grateful. But yeah, I thought I would share this with you. So the first thing I definitely would do again, this is maybe more relevant as a business coach for coaches, but definitely the photo shoot was such a highlight. Everyone loved it. I could barely get people to stop doing it. They just had so much fun, especially with music playing, and, you know, yeah, it was just the best. I filmed TikToks of clients. We did all sorts of things, which was just incredible. I definitely would do the beach walks and the dinners each night again. I think that that was a really great way to have that connection and that more stillness before like the busy learning. Also, I had people fly internationally and interstate, and I didn't want them to come and they're basically just here for 4 hours each day and that was it. I really wanted to fill the weekend as an optional thing for those that wanted to make the most of the fact that they traveled all the way here. So providing the coffee and the morning walk and then the dinner each night was just a way to like make it feel like a real full day thing with rest in between, which I think is equally very, very important, so that people didn't walk away feeling absolutely exhausted and fried, but actually energized and refreshed. That was really my goal. So I didn't want to pack it too much. Then the thing I definitely would do again is have my team here. Like I flew, well, my team all flew here. So I had my virtual assistant, I had my ads manager, Geordie was here, my partner, and then I got one of my best friends to come as well. So I had ample support, but having my team here was so cool. I actually spent the whole week with them. I took them to Australia Zoo. We went out for dinners. We went out for lunches. We went to the beach. We did all sorts of things, and it was just so lovely to spend time with them. Like I've worked with my virtual assistant for like 4 years now almost, and the fact that we've just met now is just so special. So I would definitely do that again. And I was like, oh, I don't really need that much support. Like this is going to be easy. But I like something I would do again, this is what my takeaway is that have more support than you need so it's not stressful whatsoever. Like I wasn't stressed whatsoever throughout the weekend retreat because I had Geordie, I had Michaela, I had Ethan, and I had Vader. That's 4 people helping me to just navigate like 12 people or 11 people or whatever. So it was super easy. We ended up doing the catering ourselves. I'll get into that in a second. But even then, it was just so easy to manage. So Geordie was making drinks for everyone. He was making everyone personalized coffees, whether they wanted a latte, cappuccino, flat white, oat milk, almond milk, normal milk, skim milk. We had it all. He was, writing people's letters in the foam and everything like that, which was just so cool. So he made drinks and teas. Vader was taking content non-stop. Ethan was helping people alongside me, and Michaela was doing all of the food, which was just incredible. I'm so grateful. It makes me emotional. So that was just the best. And we all had so much fun. So definitely have more support than you need. I think I had the perfect amount, to be honest. I think even one person less would have been even a little bit more stressful, to be honest. So they all ended up being required, even though I thought, I could do it all myself. So I'm really glad that, they were all there and helping in the ways that they did. So that's kind of what I would do again. What I wouldn't do again is I just don't think 4 hours was enough. I think I would have made it 5 hours next time and then actually not added anything else in. So just kind of allowing an hour to give a little bit of extra time of each of the things we do, just so I didn't feel like I needed to rush or, pressure anyone to move on to the next thing, just knowing that not everything is always going to go according to plan. So I wouldn't do it just for 4 hours. I would do it for 5 hours. I think any more than that is then also too much. But, I had people stay an extra hour towards the end of it each day because they were just talking so much. So they were here for 5 hours anyway. So if I had just made it a 5 hour thing, it would have just been a little bit more spacious, ironically. So there's that. What I wouldn't do is, and this is the thing I kept saying I'll get to in a moment, is I wouldn't run the retreat when there's a big event on in the area that weekend. So I checked for school holidays, public holidays, I considered all of those factors. The thing I didn't consider was the fact that there was a freaking triathlon on that weekend, and it didn't really affect us to a degree. I live just outside the area of which it was, but it still was enough that would have made flights more expensive. It made accommodation a little bit more limited. Again, no one was sleeping on the streets. Everyone had a place to stay, so it was all fine in that regard, but it just added complexity. And then, the reason why we went to the same dinner place both days and we went to a certain beach both days is because there was roads blocked off in certain areas. And so we sort of needed to do that. And that was annoying. I would have loved to have done something, in Noosa on Hastings Street. But upon reflection, getting a park on Hastings Street is difficult at the best of times, let alone in a time like that. So it probably worked out that the areas I chose were less crowded and busy anyways. But still, I wish I had checked for events outside of public holidays and school holidays of when to run the retreat. But, everyone was fine. But it's just something that I would look into next time that I just honestly didn't even consider. Now, the 3 biggest lessons to wrap up this episode is that it is way easier to make money online. Like, it is so much easier to just sign one high ticket client or a few high ticket clients into your program than it is to run a retreat. But again, that wasn't the reason I was running the retreat. It wasn't really to make money. I, of course, charged to make sure that we get the right people in the room and that it was a beautiful, intimate space. Like, spots were very limited. And then obviously there's costs involved in running an in-person experience, especially if you want it to be really good. So, of course I charged for it, but if it was solely about money, I mean, there are much easier ways to make money than in-person stuff, because there's just so many more logistics you have to think about. Whereas in an online program, especially an online scalable group program, they purchase and you're not necessarily doing more work. So whilst we had a big profit margin, I also could have just signed 1 or 2 clients inside Scale School and made that amount and more, and even more profit. So that's just something to consider. The other biggest lesson is that the reason to do it is not about the money, but it's actually about the authority that you build because of the content that's taken, and also just the authority of, leading a space like that. It's the client retention. I had clients re-sign with me, and I've, built stronger friendships and connections with my clients that came as well. It was for the content and the connection in general. I feel so closer with it. So everyone, people have made lifelong friends now, collaborations. I even hired my new client success coach from the retreat, which was not expected. And that's the benefit of being in the room, doing these things, coming to these things, putting your best foot forward and these sorts of things. So that was really, really awesome. So that's actually the reason to do it. So not the money, there's easier ways to do it, but actually like the authority, client retention, content, connection, all of that sort of thing. And then the third biggest lesson I want to share with you is that the most powerful thing about retreats is the connections that you make with other people. It's less about, what you learn or the things that you get. It's really the connections that you make with others, like the connections I made with others, but also the connections that everyone else made with others as well. And when I look back to in-person retreats that I've flown internationally for or interstate for or gone out of my way to go to, my biggest takeaways is the people that I met, the relationships that were built, the breakthroughs that were had with the people that were there. And so that's why you should go to one, and that's why you should run one. So that is really my takeaways from the Spacious Scaling Business Retreat. I would 100% do it again. Maybe I'll do like 1 or 2 a year. Like I said, I wouldn't do it all of the time just because it's extra work. But it was so worth it, and I had so much fun, and I would do it all over again, and I will. And hopefully they just get better and bigger every time. Obviously, there would come a point where I couldn't have it at my place anymore. And I think also that's why the profit margin was so high. I didn't need to pay for a venue. I didn't need to pay for accommodation. I didn't need to, have caterers even, or extra staff, or all of this sort of stuff. It was a lot more simple in that regard. It was really just paying for the food and the drinks, paying for the goodie bags, and paying for, my team's flight, and what else? Yeah, like a few other, like buying people's coffees, like really small stuff, super easy, but that was really the stuff that went into it. But other than that, yeah, it was really easy to create and build and do, and I loved it. So hope you loved this episode learning about the retreat, so you can get an idea of maybe how to go about yours and take on board maybe what I would do again, what I wouldn't do again, and my lessons, so that you can apply that straight into your next or first retreat. I hope you've loved this episode as much as I have. If you would like to join Scale School, where there's all this added new support, come message me on Instagram. I am at Sophia Rose Bernardi. Message me the word scale. We can have a chat to see if you coming into Scale School to learn how to grow your business to consistent $30,000 months is the right fit for you. We have support every single day, calls every single day now, Monday to Friday. It's an incredible curriculum. It's all via school. It's very affordable for what it is, which is why the investment will be increasing, because just brought in all this extra support, but there's more one-on-one support and accountability than ever before. And I'd love for you to be a part of it if you're really serious about 2026 being the year that your business finally scales the simple, sustainable way. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to hit subscribe. It means the world to me, and I promise to keep bringing you top tier coaching insights every single week. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.